fair funding for Wales that calls at the heart of Plaid Cymru's manifesto. We're going to read into this more from Sky News, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Sky News with the headline of Fair Funding for Wales to call at the heart of the Plaid Cymru manifesto. One that demand at the launch in Cardiff for Wales is to receive £4 billion of funding from the HS2 project and to change the Wales gets its funding. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. So, I suppose many of you are asking questions of, Regan, why are you covering this if your intention is to cover the manifesto? And I think that is a very good question, because I actually have been asking myself, should I cover it or should I not? And I've actually put a post out to members to get their reaction to it, and I'm very much intentionally going to cover it at some point. Hopefully, if not this week, as early next week for people. And the reason why is I think it's very important for considering how Rhun, how he conducted himself in those, how he conducted himself on in media outlets and whatnot. I was very impressed with the last seven-way debate with him on there. I thought he was absolutely brilliant in comparison to his first debate. The first debate was okay, but he certainly didn't stick out. And I think if Wales want to have a voice like similar that the SNP have for the Voices of Scotland, they can be that voice to Plaid Cymru in the long term. However, unfortunately, not everybody is seeing that right now. This is at the moment the latest. This is the last YouGov poll on what voting intentions are in Wales. Now, obviously, I will say take it with a pinch of salt. This is straight from the YouGov website here. That a 27-point lead over the Conservatives there in Wales, but you can see even there that Reform are gaining more traction and then Plaid Cymru according to their polling. But this is obviously the latest data was between the 30th and the 30th of May and the 3rd of June. Now, I actually expect this to be different based on the seven-way debates and how Rhun has conducted himself. So I would say obviously take that a bit with a pinch of salt. But I do think there can be more, that Plaid Cymru can do more for the people of Wales. Now, like I've said, I'm not into Welsh politics, but I do think that, given that I don't really, I don't really have an insight, and I don't really have a lot of subscribers or viewers, shall we say, talk a lot about Welsh politics on my channel. I do think it'd be interesting, especially for myself and those from other backgrounds, to have a little bit of a dive into Wales and what exactly he's calling for, what exactly they're looking to do to try and win over more voters, because we do expect the Labour to be in control of the establishment in Wales. They have been for a long time, and we don't expect that to change. Yes, there are questions. Obviously, the current Welsh leader, understandably, is under pressure for accepting a certain amount of money, which you have covered before, but there's not enough of a talk of Plaid Cymru, and it's kind of interesting, and to know that they also aren't, which I found this very weird. They're not refusing to participate at all in the Houses of Parliament, unlike the SNP, and I have to say I don't agree with that decision, simply because how can the argument that they've made is that they want to be a voice for Wales, not a voice for Wales within Westminster, sort of thing, which is kind of their take. And I can argue, understand that, but I could also argue, but you can't speak to a wider audience of the United Kingdom on your behalf if you're not prepared to talk at Westminster, where the heart of British politics is. Yes, you may not agree with the establishment, and the SNP don't agree with the establishment, but at least then they can at least make their voice a lot louder, whereas Plaid Cymru can't really make as big of a voice, in my opinion. And I generally think they could make a bigger voice if they were actually within there. But that's my opinion. Some people may vehemently disagree. But let's have a gander, shall we say, into what they're saying. So a call for fairer funding was at the heart of Plaid Cymru's general election manifesto launch in Cardiff last week Thursday. It was at the time of this recording. Dozens of party faithful gathered at the Temple of Peace in Cardiff to hear what the leader Rhun had to say. One of Plaid's key manifesto pledges is to secure £4 billion of funding for Wales for the HS2 project. And as this was classed as an England and Wales project by the UK government, Wales did not receive any funding via the Barnett Formula. Well, yeah, that is a pledge, but whether they'll get the money is obviously it's not up to them at all, really. That is the term for how the Welsh government gets its money. So the more money spent on health in England, for example, the greater funds received by England. Plaid Cymru, which advocates Welsh independence, argues this should not have been classed as an England and Wales project, as the HS2 will not enter the country. Yeah, well, why? If it's not even going to go into Wales, why even say that? Mind you, though, the Conservatives don't know their geography as well. To be fair, I mean, they talked about the Great North Project. Is it the North Project? And they counted towns and whatnot in the south, didn't they? Geography is not the specialty of Conservatives. The party said the additional funding would be used to improve Welsh public transport and reverse cuts to local bus services. Yeah, considering that, you considering the landscape of the country, yeah, local bus services kind of important. Considering they don't have as deep as they do have some trains, but obviously it's not as deep as other places. So I do think, those bus services are really important for them. Plaid Cymru wants to see an increase in windfall tax and the devolution of the Crown estate to Wales. There was a call due to rejoin the customs union single market and for Wales to compete at the Eurovision Song Contest in its own right. I don't know about that one. That's a bit of a weird one. Obviously, rejoin the single market and customs union. I mean, you can't do that now, but they are saying that. So Rhun said there was a genuine sense that this election feels different. More people than ever are left utterly uninspired, he said. He said Plaid Cymru was the only party calling for change in how Wales receives its funding, including scrapping the Barnett Formula in favour of a needs-based model. He said the party calls for fair funding was not driven by ideology, it's driven by principle. He urges the next UK government to show they are serious about Wales. And he said he was proud of the party's offer, which he said was in Wales's interest. Speaking to Sky News after the manifesto launch, Rhun refused to be drawn on a number of seats that Plaid are aiming for. It's more about maximising the Welsh voice, and in simpler terms, the more Welsh MPs and Plaid Cymru that there are in Westminster, the less chance that they will be sidelined, he said. Well, I don't see them talking. Yeah, because they have MPs, but they don't hear them. They're not actually there in Westminster. There's a number of MPs in Wales that have been slashed from 40 to 32. That's a 20% cut in the number of MPs from Wales. The number of notional Plaid Cymru seats went down from 4 to 2 just by a direction of boundary changes. Yeah, I don't agree with them not being in the House of Parliament in there at all. That at the end of the day, that is their decision. If at the end of the day, that's decision. But I think if here's the thing, based off the debates and interviews and whatnot that I've heard of Rhun, that's why I'm kind of doing this video, because I wanted to highlight him and his party a little bit, and I do want to highlight their manifesto because I do think it's worth having a look. Because if people are serious about wanting real change in Wales, they should seriously look at Plaid Cymru, look at what they're offering. Now, I'm not saying that they are going to be like the SNP. They could be completely different to what the SNP offered to Scotland in terms. Obviously, the talk of Welsh independence, I think at the moment is still too far fetched to have that discussion. I don't think the people of Wales are ready for that discussion. There's certainly nothing wrong with having to talk about it, but I don't think people really want to have that talk right now. I think they just want to deal with this cost of living crisis like everybody else. I think that's where they stand. I think that's where most people in Wales would stand anyway. But I do think that there is an opportunity here for them. I really do think there's a big opportunity here for them, and I generally hope they do get a bigger voice, and I do actually think they consider speaking more in Westminster. because if they want to I do think if they want to get more of that media attention, which I think they do, they should deserve, like the Greens, like SNP have pushed hard to, you know, because they've become the establishment in Scotland. You know, the media has to cover the SNP. They have to talk for them because they're speaking in the interest of them. Wales can do the same thing for the Plaid Cymru can do the same for them if they get it right. But I do think it's definitely a lot of food for thought. But I honestly want to know what you guys think. And those who are from Wales, I want to know what you guys honestly think of Plaid Cymru. Tell me what you guys honestly think about their party, what you think about its leader, Rhun, a bit about its history, maybe if you want to drop some background about that as well. And do you think there's an opportunity here for them to really gain some more seats at the expense not just of the Conservatives, but possibly at Labour too? Even though polling does show that Labour are very strong here, and they've always been pretty solid here for the people of Wales. Could Plaid Cymru become that? Is it very possible that they could become that party for the people of Wales? What you guys honestly think about it, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button, we greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video, and subscribe because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you could do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching. Hope to catch you all very, very soon.